everyone, and welcome back to our Monday literature discussion. Today we come together to explore the latest and the greatest authors who are creating narratives that not only explore but come to define what it is to be human. They also amplify the role of personal narratives as mirrors of our lived experiences. I am your host, William Shakespeare, a 16th century dramatist, and I am honoured to have with me Miss Melina Marchetta, who released a contemporary novel implementing themes of my tragedy, the play Romeo and Juliet, and exploring the insights. Melina, thank you for being here with me today. For those who do not know you very well, please describe the plot and what your book is about.
The honour is truly mine, Mr. Shakespeare. Thank you for having me on your show. My book, Looking for Alibrandi, explores the story of Josephine Alibrandi, a 17-year-old Australian-Italian girl navigating the complexities of family, identity and love, seen in the quote, "Sometimes I feel like I'm a jigsaw puzzle, with all these mismatched pieces that don't quite fit together. But maybe that's what makes me unique. Maybe it's the different colours and shapes that create a beautiful picture in the end."
Beautiful, Miss Melina. Could you explain the meaning of this quote in your book for the audience?
Yeah, well, this quote highlights Josephine Alibrandi reflecting on her identity as a jigsaw puzzle of mismatched pieces. This recognises the beauty and uniqueness that arises from embracing her diverse heritage. Set in Sydney, the book beautifully captures the challenges and triumphs of adolescence and explores the themes of cultural identity, generational conflict, and the power of self-discovery. More than its narrative, my book explores the enduring themes that are present within our society.
Thank you for that, Miss Marchetta. I would love to know now the narratives that your book expresses. How do they convey in every individual's experiences through their life journey?
Narratives have a profound impact on their world, and with my existence in this postmodern world, I'm gifted with the ability to reshape your play by adapting modern contexts while still exploring the key themes of love, passion, family, relationships, and societal norms that have transcended the barriers of time. My novel encourages the audience to interrogate their perceptions of the world, thus shaping their beliefs and actions. The quote, "Maybe there's more than one way to look at things. Maybe if we looked at all things differently, we might learn more about each other, ourselves." This emphasises the importance of questioning our perspectives and considering alternative viewpoints. Through compelling storytelling and narratives can inspire change, mobilise communities, and challenge established norms.
I'm flattered that you introduced my themes from my play in your story. Would you say that the idea of star-crossed lovers is a universal idea, almost a trope to be found in narratives?
Yes, well, the trope of star-crossed lovers is universal, as it is seen in our everyday lives and can also be seen in many narratives around the world. Looking for Alibrandi does mirror some of the concerns from your play Romeo and Juliet. Looking for Alibrandi delves into such themes as love, friendship, identity, and tension. This can be seen between individuals and social expectations. Shakespeare, did anything inspire you to create your play?
Yes, Melina, a lot of things inspired my play. Well, the first thing that did inspire my play were the other themes present throughout the time. You may be familiar with English poets like Arthur Brooke, who wrote similar poems to mine, The Tragical History of Romeus and Julieta. While I made significant changes to his plot, characters, and language, the basic storyline and many key events, including the feuding families and the star-crossed lovers affair, were inspired by Brooke's poem. However, I added many depths to the characters and the poetic language, and dramatic intensity was added, which I can show you through one of the quotes present within my tragedy. "But soft, what light through the windows yonder? Is it the east or is it Juliet the sun?" Which highlights Romeo comparing Juliet to the sun, symbolizing her beauty and the radiant presence in his life. The poetic language I used captures Romeo's admiration and awe for Juliet. This allows it to display contemporary ideas, helping it to remain relevant throughout an ever-changing society. Did the social norms of your era inspire you anywhere throughout your book?
Well, yes, societal norms did impact my story, as throughout the novel I examine the pressures of cultural identity, societal expectations, and family issues faced by Josephine as a young woman with Italian heritage growing up in post-war Australia as part of the immigrant experience. My novel delves into the clash between Josephine's Italian background and the Australian society in which she lives in. The quote, "I am not always sure where I belong, caught between two worlds, trying to find my place in a society that seems me as different as others." This demonstrates the traditional values and expectations imposed to her by her family, community, and her cultural heritage. This is juxtaposed with her desire for personal autonomy and self-expression. Well, what about you, Shakespeare?
Yes, Melina, a lot of things did impact my decisions. My environment at the time, especially being in a Jacobean era, was much more patriarchal, especially in the society that I was trying to portray, imitating the English society in the Italian Verona. And the commodification of women was normal. I can show this through another one of my quotes that can be seen in Act 2, Scene 3 of my play. "Women may fall when there's no strength in men." Friar Lawrence is suggesting that women's fate and well-being are often tied to the actions and decisions of the men who guard and patron over them. As a young woman, Juliet defies these expectations by pursuing her love for Romeo and defying her family and the social order that she must submit to. She secretly marries him. This challenges the traditional roles and the expectations imposed on her not only by her patriarchal family, but by her patriarchal society. Like many teenagers, she could not fully grasp the consequences of her actions. She was merely driven by passion and ardor that she felt towards doing what was not acceptable. She wanted to defy the status quo. She wanted to go against what her parents said and find true love through her own means.
Well, yes, I did address societal norms and expectations placed on young women in the novel. Josephine struggles with the traditional values of her Italian community, which imposes strict limitations on what she can achieve. Whereas in my novel, it explores the universal prevalent themes of discrimination of women. The quote, "I had the feeling that if I ever wanted to do anything in life, I'd have to do it myself." Well, this really highlights her realization that she cannot rely on traditional expectations or the societal structure to fulfill her ambitions. It suggests that women, like Josephine, may have to challenge and break free from societal constraints to pursue their ambitions and goals. Her struggles to reconcile her ambitions and achieve independence advocates for the audience to truly consider an equal opportunity in a misogynistic world.
Firstly, I'd like to dive into our characters. There's Juliet, who juxtaposes Josephine, as they're both strong and complex characters, but differ significantly. In Romeo and Juliet, she is portrayed as highly passionate and deeply in love with Romeo, whereas Josie is depicted as intelligent, outspoken, and rebellious. However, both characters share the similarity of defying their family, as Josie's mother and grandmother have different aspirations for her, such as marrying a suitable Italian-Australian man. This is exactly seen in Romeo and Juliet, where Paris is set to marry Juliet, but she, under no circumstance, almost by fate, has decided that she will not be marrying Paris. Let's introduce our next topic, generational conflict, which is primarily seen in Romeo and Juliet between the older and the younger generations. The long-standing feud between the Capulets and the Montagues is a generational conflict that shapes the entire play. The animosity between the families is passed down through generations, causing tensions and hindering relations. This causes Romeo and Juliet's love to be more difficult. Additionally, the patriarchal parental authority of Lady and Lord Capulet over Juliet and their attempts to control her as soon as she commits one misdeed. This can be seen in the quote, "Hang thee, young baggage, disobedient wretch, I tell thee what, get thee to church a Thursday and never after look me in this face." Juliet is addressed as baggage, as if she can be chucked out and can be owned like an object. She's then described as a wretch who can only be purified by the confession of church. And after that, her parents want nothing to do with her. Just after one of her misdeeds, as any 14-year-old girl may do. This quote finally highlights the generational conflict between Lord Capulet and Juliet as he tried to assert his authority over her, but fails as she no longer seems to relinquish submissively to his orders.
Well, thank you, Shakespeare, for taking us through the generational conflict seen in your play. Would you like to add anything about the motifs that can be seen through both of our writings?
Yes, Melina, I actually would. I've implemented many motifs throughout my play to convey meanings to my readers, at times even ironic meanings that can only be comprehended by those who know the entire stories. These are present throughout the play. They add depth and a symbolic meaning to my stories. I use the motif of light and dark repeatedly throughout my play. Imagery is used throughout the play to convey various emotions and situations. Melina, did you have any ideas or any motifs that you've had conveyed repeatedly throughout your writing?
Well, Shakespeare, I didn't actually implement any recurring motifs. However, I used themes and tropes that I've already mentioned throughout this interview that appeared multiple times throughout my writing. I used them to add an extra sense of meaning and depth to my narrative. This really made my narrative provoke the audience's emotions and really relatable. Similarly to your novel, I use the idea of star-crossed lovers. The forbidden love trope is present in Josie's romantic relationship with Jacob Coote, a boy from a different social background. Their relationship encounters obstacles as societal judgment due to their differing backgrounds, mirroring the classical forbidden love trope seen in literature